Today is day one of my water fast. This is an annual tradition, and I've made videos of this before. I'll link below in the description the previous water fasting videos I've had. Now, as a quick reminder, this is not medical advice. I'm not a medical professional. I am just here to share my personal experience with fasting. I've also done a ton of research on water fasting, what the benefits are, and I'm going to include some of my favorite links to that as well below in the description box so you can take a look. For those of you, just a quick recap. I have done water fasting for quite a few years now, and I've done a lot of intermittent fasting, multi-day fasting, and I've done even what I would say is a few long fasts, especially over 7 days. I've done a 10-day, 14-day, 25-day, and I've committed to doing an annual 7-day water fast for health, launch, and longevity. One of the biggest benefits of doing a long multi-day water fast is autophagy, where the body actually begins repairing cells and recycling them. So what happens is because you're not taking in any nutrition, the body is constantly breaking down old cells and making new cells. And because it doesn't have material to make the new cells, it actually recycles old cells. And the body is really smart and it'll actually go after cells that have mutations first. And so this is a great way to eliminate cells that might not be as healthy as the rest of them. And this process is thought to help prevent diseases later on, such as like cancer and Alzheimer's and things like that. And so I've been doing it for disease prevention primarily. Now, along with doing a long water fast, I also used to do a lot of intermittent fasting. I have found that really challenging to do the last few years as I've gone through perimenopause and had a lot of hormonal shifts. I've actually found it really difficult to fast. And I've also talked about that in a few of my previous videos where I will start fasting and by the afternoon I'll be crying and I'll not be able to get through it. Even the last few years, it's been really challenging for me to get through just my annual water fast. I quit intermittent fasting for a while completely. So I was really nervous to start my water fast again for this year. So typically I like to do it in January. This year I was not feeling great. And so we are officially in April. The weather is about to get warmer. And I thought, okay, it's time for me to do my water fast now before the weather gets really good and I want to socialize and all of that. I was really nervous because, like I said, I haven't done that much fasting recently. And I've been doing some intermittent fasting, but I've been pretty loose with it and I haven't been that strict with myself. But I recently read Fast Like a Girl, and I actually decided to time my fast with my cycle. And so today is my first day of doing that. And honestly, all things considered, it's been pretty good. I have gone cold turkey off of caffeine, so I'm definitely a little more tired than I normally am, but I didn't have any big headache or anything like that. It is now the evening, and I have gotten through my first day without any issues. No crying or thinking about breaking the fast or not feeling like I want to, continue doing it. I've done 10,000 steps. I've moved around. So all in all, a very positive first day of water fasting. And I'm looking forward to the next day. Today is day 2 of my water fast. I went to bed around 10 o'clock last night. I woke up at 6, but I stayed around in bed, lazed around a little bit, slept a little bit more, and then I woke up. I felt pretty good this morning. I had a little bit of sea salt, and then I did 1 hour of yoga asana. I also did a little bit of errands and like chores around the apartment, not too much, but did move around a little bit. I then took a quick walk around my neighborhood. It was sunny this afternoon, and in the late afternoon, evening, I went to see the cherry blossoms here in Newark with my husband and some friends. So overall, I'm feeling good. I did notice when I was walking that I was a lot slower. And one of the things I noticed is, yes, today is day 2. I'm starting to miss food. I'm starting to just miss, having an iced latte or going and eating with my husband. So things that are really, joyful on the weekends. But apart from that, one of the things I noticed is not taking in coffee. I'm walking so much slower. And obviously, like some of it's because I'm fasting, but some of it was almost just like being more present and just going a little slower with the pace of life. And it made me think how much we kind of, change the natural state of our body by taking some of these things. And I mean, I take caffeine pretty regularly. I drink coffee or chai almost daily. So this is not, just going around and judging anybody. I have these habits myself. But it made me think about what we would be like without all of these things, where my body today was craving like really simple food, like some fruits maybe or some nuts or something. And yes, I miss my latte, but I don't need it. And it really made me think about what would I be like if and I eat pretty healthy, but what if I altered my lifestyle even more? What if I changed my nutrition? what would I be like? And would it be okay to actually just be a little slower in life? Like here, we live in Jersey City. We often go to the city, and that's where my office is. And I see that everyone is just taking so much coffee, so much sugar. And again, I have sweet treats now and then. This is not throwing shade at anybody, but how much all of those substances that we take are putting us in kind of like a more activated, more hyper state. And so everyone's walking fast. Everyone's doing everything really fast. And so it made me think about that a little bit. I think this fast today was also, I think, just a reminder of taking a pause and recognizing the difference between wanting to do something and needing to do it, especially as I was missing food today. I really was like, oh, I missed this. I like want to eat. I didn't think of breaking my fast, but it was just a reminder of how a fast can also be an opportunity to spiritually connect with yourself, to disconnect from kind of the urges or the cravings of the body and see what you feel like. Today has been an interesting experience. I'm really, really grateful that it's day 2. And despite, yes, I'm feeling a little hungry, overall, it's been a really good day. As I mentioned, I sometimes have trouble fasting, and I have the last few years, especially with hormonal fluctuations. And so I'm pleased to see that timing this fast with my cycle so far has been working well. Today is day 3 of my water fast. I'm recording this in the afternoon, mostly because it's been a little bit of a rough day and I don't know how much energy I'll have in the evening. And I also do have to go out. So last night I felt really, really cold, and I slept under 3 blankets. Now, this does happen to me sometimes with my hormonal shifts going through perimenopause, but I slept like the first half of the night. Then I woke up feeling like a regular temperature. I took the extra blankets off, and then I basically tossed and turned the rest of the night. And I did not feel great this morning when I woke up. I felt like a little dizzy and lightheaded. My heart was beating a little fast in the morning, particularly, which sometimes happens when the cortisol spikes in a long fast. So I've had it before. So I woke up, I took some sea salt, I had some water. I went pretty slow. I decided to try asana today, and I was able to do 30 minutes, but I was significantly slower than yesterday and took a lot more breaks. Like I said, I feel tired, I feel dizzy. I then showered, and honestly, today was the day where I was like, do I really want to do a 7-day water fast? Why do I do it to myself? And today has been really challenging, I would say, up until maybe like the last half an hour, where I really wonder, like, why do I do this to myself? Why do I want to do this? Thankfully, I have my husband here to support me, who reminded me that I'm already 2.5 days in. And if I don't do it today, I'm going to restart and do it again. And so why don't I see how I feel in a few hours? Now that feeling has passed, I just had a little bit of warm water with sea salt, and that helped significantly. And I've done many multi-day fasts, and this happens, right? You'll have like good days and bad days. And just because today has been a little more challenging doesn't mean that tomorrow won't be easier. I've had that happen plenty of times, and it is definitely part of the process. And so that is where I am and how I'm feeling. And one of the other things I am thinking about, especially as I'm getting older and I'm a woman, is, does a 7-day fast keep supporting me and suiting me? I'm not sure. There might be a time where I say, I don't want to do 7, I want to do 3 or 5. And I'm really open to that as well. I think this year I can definitely do 7, and I'm going to. But I think it's important that when we, set these kinds of goals or guidelines for ourselves, that we're also flexible and we are taking in what is happening with the environment, with our bodies, and seeing what's right for us. And what was right for me it may not be right for me in my 40s or 50s. And so I'm really open to seeing where this journey takes me, but I am committed to my health. And I do think fasting is something that's beneficial. And so I plan on continuing it. It is now evening of day 3. I have made it, but it was a really rough afternoon. I definitely thought multiple times, do I want to keep fasting? I'm so hungry. Why am I doing this? And thankfully, my husband was with me, who has seen me through multiple long fasts. And he just reminded me, I can do this. I've done it before. And if I break my fast, I'm going to have to start it over again. And so what I did is I did some warm water with sea salt, and the warm water definitely helped because it is still cold and chilly here in Jersey City. And I think the sea salt is just helping me with the electrolytes and making sure I'm actually absorbing the water. Then I would say the late afternoon was fine. I was getting through it just fine. And then we unexpectedly actually had to go into the city to see some family friends who were here from India. Long story short about why it was unexpected. But so we ended up going into the city. We met them at a tea shop. I did not break my fast. Actually, we met them at a coffee shop, not a tea shop. My bad. But I didn't break my fast, and I definitely thought about it. Okay, I've got, some people here from out of town. It would be really nice to have dinner with them. Do I want to break the fast and start again? This was one of those things where I had to really dig deep a little bit, to be honest, because the people pleaser in me and the fact that I'd already kind of wanted to eat, it would have been so easy to break the fast and meet them for dinner. But then I really thought about this commitment to myself, the fact that I'm already on day 3. If I break it now, I'm going to have to start again, especially since I'm now timing the fast with my cycle and not just, restart in a day or two, but I would have to wait a couple of weeks. And then as the weather gets better, as we get more social, as more things are going on, it's just going to honestly get harder and harder to do the fast. And since I was already in day 3 and the fact that they came and it was unexpected, I decided to continue. And so we went to a coffee house. My husband shared in coffee with them, and I just went with my water. And honestly, it was fine. We hung out with them. We saw them. Yes, it would have been nicer to have dinner, but it was also okay to just say, hey, I'm on a water fast. They actually already knew that I do water fast from before. So they didn't find it any super unusual or anything like that. Now we are back home. It is the evening. I am tired. I am thirsty. I am going to have a little bit more hot water with sea salt and go to bed. I hope that tomorrow's a little easier. But like I said before, I've done multiple water fasts. There are ups and downs with them. And a lot of it is just remembering how strong and capable the body actually is. Like for me, I just remind myself that I do have enough reserves to get through this, even if it is a little challenging. And so that's it. Today should have been day 4 of my water fast, but I actually broke it this morning. So, as you know, I had been struggling a bit yesterday, and I woke up this morning feeling like my heart beating fast and feeling a little anxious. And so I put my watch on. I checked that my heartbeat was 70, so slightly elevated from normal. Normally it's like 56 or 60. Nothing crazy, but I also felt a lot of anxiety. And this is a symptom that I have been feeling the last year or so with perimenopause. Sometimes as hormones fluctuate, you'll actually feel really anxious. And honestly, I just didn't feel good. And so I talked to my husband and I actually decided to break my water fast. So here's the thing. I had tried timing this fast with my cycle, but I didn't do it exactly because of some social obligations. So I actually started it a little later than I should. And my first 2 days were in the part of the cycle where fasting is kind of a little easier to do. And then yesterday was actually in a day where typically you shouldn't be fasting according to Dr. Mindy Pelz. And so then I think that was also in the back of my head of, is this the right time to fast? Am I doing it the best way that I can, especially with my body as it's changing? So anyways, I ended up breaking the fast and I feel okay about it. Obviously anytime you set a goal, you want to reach it, but this was, regardless, a really good experiment for me. I've been having trouble fasting for the longest time, especially the last few years. And so just even being able to do a 3-day plus fast is really, really fantastic, and I'm proud of myself. I am going to try to do another long fast again at some point this year. I'm not sure exactly when because of social obligations, but I'm going to time that one exactly with my cycle and see how long I can go. And another thing that I've really been reflecting on is when I started my fasting journey very seriously, I was in my mid-30s, and all of the doctors and researchers that I was following, everyone was a man. And those men don't really know as much about women's hormones, women's monthly cycles, and they definitely don't know a lot about perimenopause. And so for me, what I have found is what was really easy in my mid-30s, which was I could go for a long 7, 10, 14-day water fast, no problem. I now sometimes struggle to even intermittent fast or do a 24-hour fast. And I think that definitely has to do with the hormonal fluctuations going on through perimenopause. And then I'm starting to read research that says that long fasts are maybe not as beneficial for women because it'll spike your cortisol. And there's already all these other things going on with estrogen and progesterone. And so I am going to test it out. I am going to try another long fast, but I'm also going to be listening to my body and see what makes sense in this season of life. And so that was it. That was my 3-day water fast experience, not my 7-day water fast experience. But I'm here to keep it honest, to let you know how I feel, to let you know what I've decided and why. And so if you've got any questions or comments, put them below and I'll be happy to answer them.